Hey y'all, I believe that I'm live. I believe it is October the 25th, 2019. And y'all, I just wanted to go ahead and start this one off. We're going to wait to see if people wander on in here. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about a little girl who I just heard about named Arabella Parker. All right, probably. I don't know if you've heard about this little girl, but I just heard about her. And I wanted to introduce you into how I started my day, my particular day today. And it does start like this sometimes. And I imagine that for people out there, lots of times their day might start off like this as well. All right, the people who I meet on the internet. All right, I see that we have one straggler who's wandered in. Hey, what's going on? Let it be known, you know what I'm saying? All up in the comments, what's going on tonight. I wanted to share this. I think you get from the title of the broadcast that, this might be serious. Some people recognize when I put KND, that stands for Caitlin Nicole Davis. But also I put a young girl's name in there by the name of Arabella Parker. I don't know if you've heard this name, but I actually just heard this name when I woke up this evening. And I'll show you how I did it by kind of reverse engineering, kind of running you through how my day started. I got up, sat around for a while. I kind of had a moment to myself. I don't know if y'all do that out there. And I kind of relaxed and I woke up real easy, like, all right. After a while, got to my cell phone, went onto the YouTube to check out what's going on YouTube, see if I got any comments. And sure enough, I did. Actually, I got 3 comments that you're seeing right here, and they're kind of lengthy. They're kind of meaty. They're actually the comments that I prefer. Like they're long, but they're not too long. All right. And this was actually in regards to an older video that I made, and that was a Caitlin Nicole Davis video. I also want to make a note that I believe it was Unwrapped by Brenda who, if I'm not mistaken, told me that she was looking forward to a series of videos that I was contemplating in regards to not only Caitlin Nicole Davis, but the unfortunate idea of suicide in general, all right? Because a lot of people get that idea in their head. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people have some weird thoughts. It's bound to happen to have weird thoughts, all right? And so with that in mind and that in spirit, I've contemplated making these videos, and it's just a matter of time. Some things take time to go ahead and install correctly, all right? With that being said, I think we have some things to look at before we get out of here. I'm going to see if I can't make this too long of a broadcast, but it is pretty interesting, especially when we get to the Arabella Parker part. But let's go ahead and start off on these comments that I received in no particular order. I'm not sure what order they came in. From a lady by the name of Shay Harper, all right, on YouTube. And, forgive me for sharing these comments, but the thing is, they're very insightful. And obviously, they're public on YouTube, so people could see them if they wanted to see them. But the first one reads like this: Shay Harper. I like how you mentioned Caitlin's connection to Jesus. Said, though I lean more toward the Jewish side. Not sure what that means, but maybe she's more Jewish. Maybe she's a Jewish lady. That's not a problem. All right. Said, I lean more towards the Jewish side, but I thought it was so sweet how she talked about her beliefs on different occasions, which I noted. All right. The Lord's light really shined through her. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. They would agree with that notion. She is one of the kindest souls. I could definitely sense it. She even said how God pulled her out of hell after she overdosed. I believe that she was meant to have that spiritual experience. I also believe that she went to be with God, who was definitely in her heart while she was here. All right. Pretty much for that entire paragraph, all I really got to say is, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. Sometimes people get me a little bit messed up, and I got to admit that sometimes I could be a little bit ambiguous. But I would totally agree with that paragraph right there. So let's go on and read another comment. And I believe that there was 3. I'm seeing 2 right here. We're going to double check. And in no particular order, Shay Harper says, oh, and I think it sounds better to say, quote, Anthony Lee Rogers was accused of molestation. And this is in regards to, of course, Caitlin Nicole Davis. You know, as we're talking about Anthony Lee Rogers being her stepfather. And that's going to be a pretty interesting note when we start covering a young Arabella Parker. Okay, so, oh, I think it sounds better to say Anthony Lee Rogers was accused of molestation instead of, quote, he allegedly molested. Accused sounds more legal, as in first an accusation, then a charge, and then maybe a conviction. Allegedly seems more like hearsay. And I gotta say, you know, it's kind of like what she's saying is, you know, I could have put it better, all right, in the video. I'm gonna go ahead and agree with that. Probably I could have put it better, all right. I put it out there like kind of freehand, and you know, sometimes it doesn't come out the exact best way, but together through teamwork, which I'm a very big proponent of. You know, I think we can get to exactly what it is we're trying to say. And I would totally agree. All right. He was accused of being a molester. And that's pretty much, that is the best way to put it. All right. He was never convicted at the same time. And I think we all understand that. All right? And we kind of understand what that means. But truthfully, yeah, he was accused of that. Let's see. I think this is the 3rd comment right here. Go ahead and read this. A little bit lengthy, but I think this is the most significant comment. If I remember correctly, Shay Harper says, I'm the kind of person who believes in all possibilities and probabilities. I guess that's to say, you know, some things trend. There's patterns to some things. And there's also possibilities. However, you can't change truth. It simply exists. When I saw Caitlin's videos, it was like a flashback to my life at her age. And I just knew she was telling the truth. There are many things that can show who is lying or who is telling the truth. Many verbal and physical cues. Although Caitlin cried out for attention, it was not maliciously. It was because she deserved attention. She would not have wanted to embarrass herself by talking about being sexually abused had it not happened. The day she cried to her mother about how she didn't leave Anthony soon enough, I knew it was true. She sounded exactly like me. I had said the same exact thing to my mother many years ago. This is a comment on YouTube. You can't fake that sound of abandonment, fear, anger, and depression all wrapped into one. And that, to me, is a pretty significant line right there. That combination, again, abandonment, fear, anger, depression, all wrapped into one. That is how I know there is 0% possibility that Caitlyn is lying about her abuser. Thing is, I can't really see anything about that comment that I disagree with at all. It's just it's a real good way of putting it. All right, so that people can really understand that nobody was convicted. There was no evidence. People did not go to jail. People are not going to go to jail. But however, I think we all know the truth, what took place. I think we all have a pretty good firm grasp on what exactly took place. When it comes to Caitlyn Nicole Davis, I don't think we doubt it. I don't even think we doubt it for a second, because we've heard of such things. Some of us have lived such things. Some of us have been around such things. All right. And so there's kind of a focus on reversing or reducing that out of society, out of our particular populace, whatever we can control. It's really bad. It's disgusting. Right. And so therefore there's going to be the ongoing topic of, possible suicide. Here's the thing about it. As far as trends go, as far as probabilities go, as far as anybody could tell, from all I know, y'all let me know in the comments if it's any different. But I think suicide, the numbers of suicide are going to go up, and have been going up, especially in the youth. And that's something to be noted, because usually the youth is whimsical and just carefree and stuff like that. So I do believe the numbers are going up and are going to go up. And so that would seem to me to be a health crisis. Somebody should do something about it. And so, we're going to be here, and we're just going to say some stuff, and we're going to see what we could do against it, that sort of thing. In the future, we definitely have a lot to talk about. But suffice it to say right now, as far as that goes, as far as suicide and the fact that it's going to be trending up, as far as suicide and the fact that suicide is contagious, I promise you. There's certain things to think about, but suffice it to say that my particular situation, if I'm going to talk personally, is not that bad. Right? Oh man, there's bad things that happen maybe during my day. It's typical, but it's not. My situation ain't that bad. Right? I mean, when you consider these little children out here, especially the littlest of the children, you start to understand. My situation ain't that bad. Right? And that is something to dwell on right there. The whole idea, my situation ain't that bad. Right? Because you have to imagine that people leading up to suicide, getting into a suicidal event, Lord knows that there's all sort of people who try suicide and it did not work, and they're living today. And, they can hear these words or say these words, but it's like there's some sort of voice telling them to do it. Like, I'd imagine most of the time they're saying, oh, yeah, it's really bad. The voice is like, yeah, it's really bad. You need to do this because it's so bad. It's so bad that you need to do this. But meanwhile, the sentiment of, it's not really that bad. It really isn't that bad. When you compare your situation, if you're an adult, you know what I'm saying? You lived all this life and stuff, and you've learned all sort of lessons. You can lean back and say it's not that bad, and think about the young children, and they actually have a problem on their hands, a very big problem. All the solutions that we've been giving them thus far have just led to more suicidal tendencies. Of course, this ain't going to be monetized. I hope that I don't get banned off of YouTube just for talking about this, but you see that there's a trend, right? It's no good. Children becoming all sort of depressed. How's this? All right. What kind of situations are some children getting found in? All right, dire situations. I want to point out, I was just going through my YouTube comments. Let's see. I was just going through my YouTube comments as well, and I saw that Dutch Smith uploaded a video. All right, holler at the man, Dutch Smith. Dutch Smith puts out some pretty quality content. I think you'll agree. If you check him out, pretty quality content. He just uploaded a video and it said this name right here. I don't know if you can read it. It says Jared Barres leaving court. I was like, what in the world? You know, it caught my eye because Dutch Smith doesn't exactly like, that's not his repertoire or whatever. Like, that's not really what he does necessarily. As far as cover, like, people who sound Middle Eastern leaving court. That sounds like something like Tommy Robinson would do. And it's just like, I was like, dude, that's weird. Dutch Smith. And I was like, okay, I'm going to click on it. And then, of course, as you can see from the picture to the right, that it's not. He deleted the video. He uploaded it, deleted it. All right. So I don't know if he accidentally uploaded it, but I was like, who's Jared Burgess? Who's Jared Burgess? That was a question that hit me pretty early in the morning. I couldn't help but be curious. I was like, dang it, who the heck's Jared Burgess? And so I looked it up. All right, I want to show y'all. It's all sort of news. If you were to type in Jared Burgess, I came to find out that that's actually Jared. It's just spelled like that. His name is Jared. He's this white fellow from out of somewhere in America. All right, Jared Burgess. All right. Apparently he's all over the news, and you can see it 2 hours, 8 hours, 7 hours, 1 week, 1 day, 4 days, 2 weeks. All right. So they've been covering Jared Burgess. All right. It's actually from out of the very area that Dutch Smith kind of resides. So more than likely, Dutch Smith actually went to the dang place and was videotaping Jared Burgess, and he's going to upload it, but then he didn't. All right. So if you don't know about this particular incident, I guess I'll just run you up on it, or you know, I don't know if we want to read an entire article. Let's see. Let's just look at one real quick, and we'll skim through it. All right, but I can let you know, kind of basically, this was being alleged to have happened. All right. For those who don't know, we're going to read it real quickly. Arabella Parker suffered 44 separate injuries, 44 separate ones, at the hands of Jared Burgess, all right, who allegedly beat the 3-year-old so badly that she had to have emergency surgery to remove part of her brain. Like, you know what I'm saying? We just barely get into the paragraph and stuff, and don't you already want to just, you know what I'm saying? Don't you just really want to, you know what I mean? Like, already okay, so this is what is alleged to happen: surgery to remove part of her brain. All right, according to testimony from the lead investigator in the child abuse case, District Judge John Jembrecht concluded a 2-hour preliminary hearing Friday for Burgess by ordering all 7 criminal counts filed against the 19-year-old, including felony aggravated assault, be held for prosecution in Northumberland County Court. Jembrecht also raised bail for Burgess from to $500,000 from $200,000. All right. The hearing was held inside the Northumberland. Blah blah blah. You know, they're talking about some stuff. All right. Kind of want to see. We want to address the situation. Basically, what happens is there's an emergency call. All right, man, it's saying all sort of stuff, and there's all sort of details, all right, that can be gone over, all right, but just real briefly, if you hadn't heard about the situation, I wanted to just kind of get you caught up. This little girl, she goes to the hospital, you know, it's called emergency and stuff like that. They pick her up, and she's in a bad way, all right. Kind of find out, allegedly, she's been abused by this guy, Jared Burgess. All right, he's this guy. Let me show you, for example. I got him on the Instagram. I found his Instagram, like, just instantly, oddly enough. That's still up, all right? And it's a very messed up Instagram. If you've ever studied Instagrams for suicidal behavior or very, you know what I'm saying, very aggravated, agitated behavior, this Instagram certainly has also red flags, like every last red flag. All right, it has all of them all put together. So if you were to look at his Instagram and you've been looking at this sort of thing, studying this sort of thing, homicidal, suicidal, very aggravated, very agitated, superficial, and just you know what I'm saying, a poor existence. All right, you're gonna see that all over this young man's Instagram. All right, this is Jared. This is Jared, whatever his last name was. This is Jared right here. Burgess, and I don't mean to show you, but like he's got some, he's got some raunchy photos. All right, but like I said, every last red flag is exhibited in the Instagram for a person you do not want to be around ever. So that happened. But here's the thing. Here's probably what's the most interesting. This one right here. All right, seems awkward. Seems a little bit inappropriate, especially when you think about that this man right here, Jared Burgess, he is not the father of this little girl right here who doesn't have a shirt on. All right, he's not the father of her. And actually that, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is Arabella. All right? Arabella Parker, by the way. That's little Arabella Parker. She's the one who has to get part of her brain removed. All right? Because she's beaten so badly. And all sort of, fractures in her ribs and stuff like that. All right? This guy right here, allegedly, that's what he did. I don't know what's what. This is why we have trials and stuff like that. But allegedly, that's what he did. All right? He's not the father of this little girl. All right? This is already this picture right here. I mean, it's a million red flags. All right? A million. All right? Really, really bad. But that's something I want to bring up, and we can bring it all the way back to KND at this point. Think about this. Okay, this is a hard pill to swallow. But before we go on, all right, we might as well just keep it on this. Before we go on, there's an act of, say, a woman, I guess, in general, all right? Going and like she has a child, right? How does she have that child? We all pretty much know, all right? This is how she had a child. She meant to have a child. That was her body, her choice. She chose to do this, all right? So she has a child. I'm gonna have to decline that. But she has a child, right? And then she goes and leaves off, finds another dude, and now that dude's whatever he is. I don't know if he's the boyfriend. I don't know if he's the uncle. I don't know if he is, the new daddy. I don't know. All right. They go and get another one. All right. Replace. There's a switch. There's a bait and switch. Switches it. All right. That act alone, it's a hard pill to swallow, is a terrible act. It's a horrifying act for a mother to do. All right. And you can take it back to Caitlin Nicole Davis because that was exactly her case as well. It's a terrifying, horrifying act for a mother to do it. And it's also widely acceptable all throughout society. You got to ask yourself why. Or maybe you can say, I'm tripping, and say, oh, that's not really so bad. All right, just because she wants love in her life. She already has love in her life. She has a child. All right. And the thing is, you can't get enough love from your child. Something's wrong with you. Right, basically, and so you go running around. That's the problem. It's like, I'm not trying to demonize any one person. I know all sort of people out there, and trust me, as far as mixed families and stuff like that, trust me, I know a lot of them. I know that's most of the families I know are mixed families, right? But I'm here to say, that is a terrifying, horrifying thing to do to a child, right? And it happens like clockwork all the time. And the consequences might not be so apparent as this. All right, this is very apparent, but the consequences are there still. Right, and it's something bad to do. And honestly, on the other end, as far as men go, it might be demonizing for ladies to say, oh, ladies are going around and swapping out men and stuff like that, and they're putting their child in all sort of danger and risk. You might say that, but also at the same time, men should not be going around, you know what I'm saying? Really, honestly, it's like, haven't we learned our lessons? Like, we shouldn't be going around and doing that sort of thing as well. We shouldn't be snatching our children up and just giving them new mothers. That doesn't make any sense either. Right? But it's something to be thought about because nobody's going to go to jail for as far as Caitlin Nicole Davis is concerned. When it comes to Arabella Parker, I bet you everybody's going to jail. All right. That's the thing about it. We can't really understand. Here's the thing. I looked into Arabella Parker and all her. I don't know how much time we have to actually read through the articles, but I got to say that, these articles go into a lot of depth and there's a lot of detail. And Arabella Parker's particular story is a very tragic story. I gotta say, as far as publications go, if you wanted to start reading some of the articles, definitely I would start with the Daily Item because they've been covering it very well, very intently. All right, I got to give them props. Props when props are due. The Daily Item is really covering this story. All right, but basically, Arabella Parker seems to have lived a tragic life. Now, she's been recovering for days now. I don't know how much recover she's going to get. Like, I don't know how much recovery she's going to experience. All right, but they say she's getting better. What does that mean? All right, people speculated whether or not she's ever going to speak again. All right, I can't say that that's accurate or not, but people have speculated that. You get part of your brain removed. All right, who knows? Who's to say? Who's to say exactly what's going to happen to Arabella Parker? All right, but it's kind of interesting because now her mother, whose name escapes me at this particular moment, I'm sure it's in here somewhere. Suffice it to say, at this point, her last name's Del Camp. All right, and I forget what's her first name. I'm still becoming acquainted with this whole thing, but her last name is DeCamp. Her mother's last name is DeCamp, all right? Her name is Parker because her father's name is Parker. Where's her father at? Her father, kind of find out, is actually incarcerated somewhere. I don't know if he's like in a physical jail or if he's just kind of like on house lockdown or something somewhere. But her father, her actual father, isn't kind of incarcerated right now. And come to find out, the reason why that is because he suffered a DUI while he like crashed his car into a couple of utility poles, right? According to reports. So that's what her father did. And me personally, when I saw this, I was like, well, that's pretty messed up to keep him away from his child and stuff, like the way that he has been. That's kind of messed up as well. But I read further into it, and apparently, according to reports, Arabella Parker was actually in the car with her father when her actual father was drunk off his ass off all sort of moonshine, according to reports, and a beer, and went ahead and smashed into a couple utility poles with Arabella Parker in the back. All right. That was an interesting note and something definitely to factor in, because I wanted to say about Arabella Parker, it's kind of interesting. If I understand correctly, there's all sort of different articles and reports that I've been reading. But if I understand correctly, all right, Arabella Parker, you could tell now like the kind of abuse she incurred. And they have like different tests to see how old certain injuries are. You might have seen this sort of thing before. All right, so the thing is with Arabella Parker is that, of course, she has immediate injuries, like she was immediately beaten just recently, and to the point is where she's bleeding on the ground, according to reports, for about an hour and 7 minutes. All right, they kind of deducted it down to an hour and 7 minutes. All right, she's bleeding on the ground, having seizures. All right, I'm not even making this up, like having seizures, unconscious. All right, for about an hour, right, before emergency personnel was able to get to her, and then they whisked her away to the hospital. But see, now they can tell like how old some of her injuries are, and they're looking at it saying, well, some of these injuries are immediate, some of these injuries are like days old, some of them are weeks old, right? They're saying, I saw a report that said some are, she's got injuries that say that in like say her ribs, for example, that are probably about 6 to 8 months old. They were able to figure out 6 to 8 months old. All right, and what's interesting to note also that the mother is locked up right now upon criminal suspicion that maybe she had a lot more to do with this abuse than it was allegedly first thought. I don't know, who's to say. I'm just becoming acquainted with this case. All right, but it's interesting because 6 to 8 months old, she has injuries on her ribs that are about 6 to 8 months old. All right, and the thing is, it comes into question because according to reports, Del Camp, the mother, she's only been dating this guy Jared Burgess for like 4 months, 4 or 5 months. So like the injuries would have been sustained before Jared Burgess even entered the picture. All right, that might cause you to wonder. right? But at the same time, if this little girl at 2 years old is getting into car accidents with her father who's drunk off his ass, her own father, if that's what's taking place, she might have incurred injuries at that point. I'm not sure exactly what to say. Of course, the evidence is going to come out. Of course, there's all sort of evidence anyways on these people, to include all sort of red flags on their damn Instagrams. And people already knew they were wilding out. Kind of find out. I don't know if it's ever going to air, but I got to let you know that Del Camp lady, she was just on the show, the Steve Wilkos show. Believe it or not, they just taped a dang show. I don't know if they aired it already, but she's on a Steve Wilkos show being accused by her mom of abusing her daughter. All right, on a Steve Wilkos show, man. So it's like, not only is this outrageous, like a monstrous situation where, here's the thing, both these parties are if you're going to go by probabilities, they're guilty as hell already. All right, because one of them beat the crap out of this little girl for months on end. All right, this little girl lived a miserable life. Like in reports, it says that Arabella Parker, what it says is that she basically had to have lived a pretty miserable life and a lot of pain and stuff. It's like they wondered if she could even lift her arms above her head. They said, she probably had to have experienced pain while laughing or breathing heavily. All right, it was really bad pain that she incurred. But the thing is, okay, that's super tragic. All right, that's kind of monstrous. Both parties, one of them has to be really guilty. All right, at least one of these people was beating all over the child, and we're gonna experience a trial. Jared Burgess, who's the person you're seeing right here, his attorney's probably gonna say that he had nothing to do with it. That Del Camp, the mother of Arabella, that she was gone off of drugs or something. She was walling off of drugs, and when they ran out of drugs, she became abusive and started abusing her child, right? And that's going to be their defense. Meanwhile, that doesn't even hold up, because if you're a man, all right, you're not going to watch some lady beat the crap out of her child. Forget the fact that you don't have no muscles, all right? Because even a man with no muscles is stronger than a lady most times. Even your bones are stronger. All right, and this is the lady, by the way. If I'm not mistaken, that's actually the lady who's in jail right now. That's Del Camp. All right, that guy behind her, of course, is Burgess. It's kind of even more crazy about it is that the defense attorney for Burgess is probably going to say Del Camp was gone off drugs. And when she came down, she became very abusive. That's going to be their case. Meanwhile, Burgess, on record, has a baby in that belly that you're looking at right there. All right? They posted it all over Instagram and stuff like that. It's very public. All right? So, yeah, maybe she was on drugs. I don't know exactly what they were up to over there. But, yeah, maybe she could have been on drugs. But also, she's pregnant with your baby, dude. All right, so you're not going to make yourself sound good. And then you see these sort of pictures and stuff like that, and it's like, dude, this is a person who is just smothered in red flags, dude. Red flags all over the place. And meanwhile, who's to say about Arabella's father? I forget his name exactly, Mr. Parker. Who's to say about him? They said he was notified about the whole situation. Who's to say how much he really cares? I would hope and imagine that he cares a lot, all right? But let's say he did care. Let's say he cared about the whereabouts of his daughter, all right? Let's say he cared about the men being brought around his daughter, all right? Well, this wouldn't feel too good, all right? This lady right here is the lady in question, okay? And this is kind of like an extreme version of what I'm trying to point out. But it's a version nonetheless. This is how extreme it can get. When you're talking about mothers who are new mothers, you're a mother to a 2-year-old, 3-year-old little child, and you're going out and you're finding the most disgusting, most slithery, most red flag smothered Instagram posting, just a guy with no muscles, all right? He's 19 years old. God bless him, doesn't have no muscles, all right? All sort of red flags. You got to understand that these people, they look like they do drugs, right? And that's judging a book by its cover, but that's what they look like. Look like very abusive. These people are in custody of a child, right? Until that child winds up beaten beyond belief, all right? And, the father, who's to say, but, just smothered in red flags, right? Trust me. It's all sort of red flags. The moral of the story, and we're going to get out of here because, I got some other things that I would like to do before I go to work, get that money. The moral of the story is, believe it or not, I know it sounds extreme, but a lady in general going around and trying to replace fathers, because that's what this looks like. All right, I don't know if that's what they were going for, but that's what it looks like. She don't even have a shirt on. All right, so girls young ladies who are going out there trying to replace fathers, and even older ladies at that, going around trying to it doesn't work. It's not a good thing. And in fact, there used to be very harsh language about ladies who do that in and around public. There'd be all sort of talk around town. Ladies who did anything like this, they would be anything like this at all, they would get talked bad about. Now, there was all sort of what you would call women's liberation or whatever. At this point, women can feel empowered, and we already know what it is, to do what they want, no matter what, no matter even what it looks like, no matter how many red flags are popping from about everywhere. All right, it does not matter. She can still make these choices that prove to be deadly dangerous for certain children and stuff like that. They wind up living crazy lives. And, if we were to make a channel just about this particular situation, I'm talking about really young children being abused to the point of death, either almost dying or dying, it would be unlimited. It would be unlimited content. Every single day I'd have something new. All right. So that's how big of a problem that is. In fact, I would argue that's the biggest problem we could ever even think about ever addressing. All right. And me personally, I believe that the solutions lie in justice, in a sense that we've not ever experienced. All right. I'm talking about real justice. Because the theory goes, and we're going to go ahead and get up out of here for right now, but the theory goes that God carries out justice. All right, you're going to know, if you follow anybody's story to the very end, you're going to know that justice is carried out every time. God does carry it out. All right, but what he's looking for, I have to just venture as a suggestion, is he's looking for us to administer justice in a way that we've never even done or we never even come close to. Right? Because the problem is that with the lack of justice, as far as moral character and decisions and harsh outcomes, with the lack of justice of abominations administered to children, with the lack of justice therein, it's going to be more disease. It's going to be more contagious. It's going to be a bigger problem. It's going to be more trending. It's going to be more the pattern. It's going to be the norm. All right, need to squash it out. It's bad and kind of have to nip it in the bud. There's certain behaviors that should not be tolerated. And I'm not saying anything outside of the law. I'm not saying anything overtly aggressive or violent in any sense. I'm just saying our laws are not serving us in this sense. There is not justice being had. Most of the times it's laughable at very best as far as justice is concerned. For these children out here, all right? Somebody's got to say something for the children. Anyways, it's October the 25th, 2019. I appreciate all y'all out there and stuff. I'll holler at y'all, and we're on a journey and a quest, all right? We're warriors out here, all right? We are warriors, and there is a battle. All right, I'll holler at y'all, and I appreciate y'all. I'll holler at y'all a little bit later.